I like the fact that the way your camera is wobbling, it makes me feel like I'm on the high seas.
Yeah, doing a cruise of some
Right?
sorts.
Yo,
Yeah.
ho, yo.
Yo ho, give me
A
a big
pirate's
bag of
life.
straw.
So
It's-
when I was setting up for us to go live, for everyone out there, I was giggling to myself when Tone heard me. He asked me why, and I said, I heard you humming to yourself, and it was so delightful to hear. And he said, I always do that. And what's funny
Yeah, I
is,
do.
you know, I don't know. I'm sure there's been a study done that there's a certain percentage of people who always have music playing in their head. It's not 100% of the people, but I find that fascinating. And I always, more than just earworms, more than just a song you hear and now it's stuck in your brain, but there's always music playing in my head. And I know the
Yeah.
same as the case with
Huh.
you.
Well, isn't a song in particular, but it's just doing whatever comes into my
Music,
brain.
just
Yeah,
music.
whatever, whatever. I also have this semi whistle, and some people hate whistling. You know that? Some people hate when you
Yeah.
whistle. I
Yep.
can imagine. Yeah, it's pretty annoying if you're not doing it yourself. But anyway, the funny thing is that um, at work I have this sort of semi whistle going on. I go like
Yep.
something like that, and it's already annoying for some people, so they go like tone. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I did it again. Yeah, you did. Okay.
Well, and and sometimes
Yeah.
sometimes you're not aware. And because for me, it's something very similar. I'll not even with my lips, it'll just be sort of between my teeth. It'll be
Yeah, that, yeah.
right. And you're not aware you're doing something, you're working through a challenge, you're trying to figure something out, or maybe you're going through something that you've done 1,000 times before, and then suddenly you find yourself going,
Yeah,
and
some
someone goes,
shit like
hey,
that. Yeah.
hey,
It doesn't,
hey,
yeah.
stop.
Anyway. Yeah. What? Oh, sorry.
I was making
Yeah,
noise. I had
stuff
no
like
idea.
that. So you're well again. You're not
I
how do you
am
feel?
I
What
am
was wrong with you? What was wrong with you anyway?
it was a food reaction, and that's a
Mm,
thing that I think is worth talking about because I I don't think people realize that your body is always changing. Most of us understand that. Even the dopiest of us, and I gesture to myself, understand your body's always changing. But part of those changes also include the kind of foods you can process, that things you used to be allergic to as you get older, you may no longer be allergic to, and other things that you were never allergic to, you sometimes over the course
mm,
of time build an intolerance to. You become sensitive or hypersensitive to certain foods. And I think that that is what
mm.
happened. And it caused me to lose 10 pounds, so a little over 5 kilos in 30 hours.
What?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. So, but you have no idea what it was. What
I think it was
you
food
do?
related, but I can't
Yeah, what
isolate.
foods you don't know?
So,
Okay. Well, anyway, sound bad, yeah. Tried to get in contact with you a couple of times, but no reaction whatsoever. So
no.
and it took you a while to get over it.
Yeah, and that's another fascinating thing because when you're a kid, you will want to go outside and play through 103-degree fever and and
Yeah.
two tubes of snot coming out of your nostrils. So, by the way, if you're just now tuning in, welcome to a show about two old friends who just talk about whatever they want to talk about. And right now, apparently, we're talking about what the body does when one is sick. But yeah, it's
Right.
when you're,
We're talking about health
yes, yes, we are.
or the lack thereof.
Yeah, the importance of it,
Yeah.
and I think it's always important. But yeah, when you're younger, you have this ability to sort of work through your immune system and whatever it's doing to make you feel better.
Mm.
But then as you get older, like me, I I get a fever and I just I want to throw on a sweatshirt and curl up until I feel better. I don't want to be bothered. I don't want to go out. I don't want to deal with people. And
Right.
I know people who don't feel that way. And I certainly know if and you can share more about this. If you work in a hospitality industry location or a tourist location,
Mm.
people show up sick because they have saved the money to go on their holiday and they're going on their damn holiday. Sickness be damned. They do
Yeah.
not care. They're showing up
No.
with their hacking coughs and their
Yeah.
sneezes. Am I right?
Yeah. Yeah, you are. And I understand kind of, but yeah, on the other hand, it's kind of annoying because all the freaking viruses and bacteria and shizzle, I don't know, it's all coming your way, and you didn't ask. It's like the same with parents with children. They go to school and they pick up all the shit, bring it home, and then you get sick as well.
Right. Well,
Yeah, it's annoying, but hey, that's
schools
how it
are
goes. Yeah,
schools and tourism destinations are petri
yeah.
dishes because
Petri dishes.
everybody
Yeah,
comes from everywhere and they
yeah.
drop
And you're
off
the
whatever they're
yeah,
carrying and they mix it up
exactly.
and then
You and you're the medium that's inside the dish.
yeah,
You pick it up. It
I
feeds on you.
it's true. I shared this
Terrible.
story before when I worked in attraction operations at Disney, first time I was with the
Oh,
company. I was at a location where we took people through a couple of effects and then we showed them how those effects done. And then we took them across the sound stages. Now, all I ever touched was a microphone and
mm,
the handrails and
mm,
then the doorknob to go backstage. Those are the only things I ever touched, right? Microphone,
mm.
handrail, doorknob. I would go wash my hands, and the dirt that came off my hands looked like I'd been gardening.
Really?
Yeah.
Gee.
So when we tell
Oh,
people that you should wash your hands, there's a good
yeah,
reason for it. You don't see anything on your
right.
hands right now, but you start
Yeah,
touching all the things that other people touch, and now you're touching the things that they touched.
right. Yeah. Yeah,
And then you
it's
touch your
true.
face, right? You adjust your
Yeah,
glasses, you wipe your
yeah,
nose, you have something on the side of your mouth.
yeah. And the microscopic little critters, they invade your system and you get sick. Yeah. It's kind of funny. It kind of made me think of an of because you know you have the religion thing and this you have the Ten Commandments in the Bible and it's all true and or any other religion for that matter. And I somebody else he said, well, you know, if it's so important to wash your hands and be careful and you should watch out for your health, why isn't that in the Bible or the Torah or anything else? Like wash your hands. Make sure you know you make sure you wash your hands after going to the
Well,
bathroom and stuff like that. It's not
there
mentioned at all.
no, there is something about
Yeah,
so
grappig.
I will say uh to play devil's advocate on that that maybe they didn't know. So they knew some things. They understood, the edict against pork was because you call it what you want. They vilified it by saying it was unclean. The reality is that there was no refrigeration 2000 years ago.
Nee, nee,
So all meats were preserved with salt and sugar and
right,
when
right.
you could find it. But no matter
Mm.
how much salt you use with pork, it still wants to go bad because of its cellular construction. And I think they just decided let's not let's stay away from that. And maybe the thing with muscles and things of that nature is, people were prying open all of these muscles, even the ones you shouldn't have been eating. They were getting
Mm.
sick, they were dying. There were enough things to kill people anyway. I mean,
Oh yeah.
you were considered you were considered middle-aged by the time you were 20.
Oh yeah, and you were because people didn't get very old back in those
Yeah.
days. So
Yeah, if you
absolutely,
if you
yeah,
lived past 50, you were considered a venerated statesman for sure.
yeah,
But
right.
yeah, that's a good point about washing your hands, but maybe they didn't know.
Mm.
Maybe they didn't know. But
Well, if it's in the holy book, you should think that these people who wrote it, like the Lord himself or any other goddess or deity, you presume he knows what he's talking about. But anyway, that's on the side. It was funny. I thought it was funny, but so, but yeah, it's health. Oh my God. Ooh. It almost seems to me like it's getting more important to you when you get older, because when you're younger, you get sick and you go like, oh yeah, whatever. You brush it off and you go like, okay,
well,
I
yeah,
got through it and going on. And
I
now it's more
think
like you feel it more or you experience it more intense. I don't know,
yeah, and it's
something like that.
your immune system. When you're young, your immune system's developing, but when you're older,
Mm.
your immune system isn't as strong as it used to be.
Yeah,
It's not as robust, and it's up to you to do things. That's why people will take supplements.
yeah,
Kids don't take vitamins. Not ordinarily. They shouldn't need to. But as you get
yeah,
older, your bones get brittle, your muscles, tendons, and ligaments lose their elasticity. That's when things like stretching is more important. Yoga, if you can do
yeah.
it, Tai Chi, if you can do it, any of those things.
Yes, it is. Yeah, yeah. That's why the people in the East are doing it, I guess. They are the smart ones. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like standing in the street and in the squares and everybody together and go like yeah, stuff
right.
like that.
But
Yeah, yeah.
just any kind of exercise. Leon and I remember the the very first day we were together, and we were going to the market in
Mm,
Elburg, and I saw this older couple, both of them wearing the wooden klumpen and riding their bikes. And I went, "Oh, that's amazing. You never see that
yeah.
in America, in the States." And he said, "Oh yeah, he knew the couple. They were both in their 80s, and they ride the equivalent of, I think he told me, about 5.5 kilometers several days a week to go to the
Mm,
market to pick
mm,
up 1 or 2 days worth of groceries." And you see a
mm,
great deal of that, the walking, it's a thing that I
mm,
marveled at, when I was there a few months ago. It's a thing that I still love to see, was, people out walking, and
mm,
that activity alone can't
mm.
be understated. The notion
Yeah,
of going out and getting some exercise just by walking,
yeah. Should be a no-brainer, but it's not.
right?
No. Well, it's most of the time in modern societies, and especially in America, the distances are much bigger, and so it's everybody travels by car. It's almost like I can imagine why it is like that, because everything is built up like that.
It
The whole
is. It
infrastructure and
is.
everything is, yeah,
We don't
and
have we don't have a
yeah,
mass transit infrastructure like you do there,
mm,
and there's
no,
a big reason for it, and the basically
mm,
what happened over 100 years ago was the big three automakers, did everything in their power to stop the development of mass transit. In fact, I think in California they
mm,
acquired one of the big three purchased, if someone's listening or watching, you correct me on the specifics of this, but they purchased one of the trolley systems for downtown mass transit, ripped up the tracks, demolished the trolleys, and then
Hmm.
sold the idea that individuality and independence is an American birthright, and you can satisfy that American birthright by owning a car. And that's the big
Yeah.
thing. That's why people here spend they will spend $80,000 on a brand new
Mm,
vehicle, and then they will go and they will spend another $10,000 on new rims, and they'll have the interior updated, and they'll spend $2,000 on a sound system, and they'll have modifications made to the engine. And by the time they're done, they've spent another 20 grand, 30 grand.
mm,
And it's a
yeah,
it's a level of insanity, because if that thing gets wrapped around a tree, it's worth $0. But
they did. Yeah. So how does this work anyway? So it's a completely different subject, of course, but um, with cars, like I look at these TV shows on online, YouTube, stuff like that, car builders. You
mhm,
have this custom car builders, and they build cars like you can't believe. You know, it's old cars, and
yep,
there's a new going in a new engine and brakes
yep.
and everything. Is they make it like it is really, really slick, sporty car, like resto mods they call them. And so people, it's not an exception that people uh, spend like 20, 50, maybe $1,000 more or even more. I don't know. And it's how do you get that money? It's how did they do that?
So
That's
there
really,
are there
is
are
that all
several.
credit cards or stuff?
So we
Or,
start we start with, if you want, I mean, you know how it works with the racing teams, right?
oh, but it says ordinary people.
Yeah. So with ordinary
They buy these
people,
cars.
yeah, they're
Yeah.
they're they're using credit cards. They're going to junkyards. They are bargain shopping. They are spending money
Mm,
that maybe they saved for retirement, and sometimes, many times actually, if if it's a labor of love, but still something that they hope will be commercially viable, they're doing these things because they hope to sell it at a profit. Of course,
mm,
let's say you buy a car for $5,000 and you spend another $3,000 in materials to make the car exactly the kind of car you think would sell, and then you're able to sell it for $9,000. You look at that and go, well, that's a $9,000 profit. But what if you spent the past year fixing that car up, sanding it down, filling in the rust, grinding off the rusted pieces, welding in new metal, painting it,
mm.
adding all these other parts. And even if you only did 5 hours a week, but you did it for a year, suddenly you look and you go, oh, yeah, I think I made about 23 cents an hour working on this.
Yeah.
So you're not
Yeah.
really actually making your money, because you haven't
Mm,
allowed for evaluation of your time. There are some people who have a following. I've got a friend, I call him Uncle Billy, and he'll go to a thrift market, like a swap shop, and
mm.
he'll buy the shell of an old vehicle, like a 1930s
Right.
vehicle. He's very good with a welder, so he will weld a chassis. He will build a chassis, and he's retired, so he doesn't care. But the more work he does, the higher the price. He welds
Yeah, I can
things on.
understand that. Yeah, I
But
do
but
understand that.
how
But the
how do
thing that
they
I'm,
do it? How do they do it? If they're lucky, they've got some sort of residual income coming in. Maybe they've got a
uh,
pension, or maybe
yeah.
they're spending money that they're getting a certain amount deposited into a bank account every month.
Mm,
That's how they do it. There's plenty of people though who they can't afford to do it, and they do it anyway.
sorry.
They buy a vehicle, or they buy a motorcycle. I mean, that's the big thing with Harley Davidsons.
Yeah.
People spend 25, 30,000 on a Harley Davidson, and then they get what's called chromitis. They have all this stuff replaced with chrome pieces.
Yes. Yeah. Well,
Chrome.
the thing is, I was wondering about is people that have it done and they don't do it themselves, but they go to a company and they go like, okay, you got to build me this car. It's a lot of money, and not everybody's rich, obviously, but
Right.
sometimes it seems to me that it's a very common thing, but it isn't. Not a
Well,
lot of people do
not
that, or
not really. Remember when
yeah,
you're watching a TV show and you're watching something on YouTube, they're very specifically focusing on those builds. So in their world,
yeah,
there's always an old car that becomes a new car, right? So
but
that's all
still,
you ever see. That's the filter.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's like
I understand.
when you're watching a home buyer show where
Mm,
people are looking at three houses. What's really interesting is much of that is already decided. The house they're going to
mm,
pick is already decided. The other two
mm,
houses, what's really funny is they will have the house picked and begin the the closing process, and then the production company will come in and they'll find two
mm,
other houses just to make it all exciting, and then the third house which they buy because they've already initiated the process. It's a
yeah.
really bizarre thing. They used to call it reality TV. Now they call it unscripted television because that's really what it is.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Nothing real
Yeah.
about it.
But what I wanted to get into is as well is that what I was trying to say earlier, if it's like a occasional thing that's happening with these cars, how come there's these big car fairs and shows like SEMA, for instance, in Las Vegas? Because that's all the people from the industry are coming there. You have these custom shows, and
Yeah,
people. There's a big aftermarket industry in the States for
it's true.
cars, just specifically for cars.
It's true.
So, and
It's
if
a
it's just
billion.
the occasional person who's doing it,
No,
how come there's this? Yeah, you know
it's
what I
true.
mean, right?
There's a
Yeah,
billion-dollar industry, and it's
right.
aftermarket for a very specific vehicle. If you want to talk about
Yeah.
67 to 69 Camaros or 65 to 68 Mustangs or 71 to
Mm,
73 Mustangs or 72
yeah.
to 73 Firebirds. You're right. There's a very specific market
Mm,
within, but all of these birds kind of flock
mm,
together. It's sort of like at Central Parks. You go to Central Parks in the middle of your holiday season, the place is cram packed full of
mm,
people. It's like where the heck do all these people come from? Because you have to drive by a bunch of agricultural property to get there. It's this
mm.
oasis in the middle of nowhere.
Right. Yeah. Well, in
Everybody,
our case, yeah.
so everybody sort of does the same thing with the car
Mm,
shows and car collectors as they
right.
show up. Some of these people fix up vehicles and then sit on them for a decade.
Mm,
If I
right. And also, how when is a vehicle in the States street legal? Because that was something I was wondering about. Because,
It
for
depends.
instance, here in the Netherlands, manufacturers, if they want to sell a certain type of vehicle, they give it to the instances, no, the government bodies
Yep.
that
Yep.
are checking the cars if it's street legal,
Right.
and they get a type approval for that particular type of car. They get this approval. So in the Netherlands, if you change something around on that car, the type approval is gone. It's not legal anymore. But how does this go in the States? You can get a vehicle, you can change things around, but certain
Yeah,
things you can't.
you
What
can
is it?
change there's a limit to the modifications, and those limits
Hmm,
normally impact things such as noise, weight, and maybe a couple of other things, but horsepower, tires, engines, you can change anything you want.
right,
You can you can do anything you want to a vehicle here. What
right.
has to happen though is every state has its own requirements. There are states
Yeah.
here that have emission requirements that Your vehicle has to
Right.
pass certain emission requirements. If it doesn't, then you've got to go to a certified shop to have that addressed. Here in
Right. And that's
Florida,
for
none of
every
that.
type of vehicle.
Yeah, we're here in Florida, none of that exists. So when you
Mm.
see vehicles on the road in Florida, you can see a $250,000 Bugatti next to a $700 Yugo that has dents on every panel.
Yeah,
And
okay.
they're
Well,
both street
the
legal.
same.
And they're
Yeah.
both street legal.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's mind-blowing for me. If you change something around in the Netherlands and you get for a yearly checkup, you go like, oh, they go like, that's not
But
good. You
look
can't
look
you
at
can't
how
drive
much
this anymore.
look at how much you spend to get a driver's license there and look how much you spend
Oh,
here. And
no.
here,
Yeah.
here, Americans treat getting a driver's license as a right and not a privilege. And it
Yeah.
shows in the way they drive.
Yeah, I
It
can
does.
imagine. Yeah.
It does. It shows in the
Yeah.
condition of their
Yeah.
vehicles. It shows in their behavior on the road.
Yeah.
It's
No.
terrible. I would be first in line if the licensing requirements were changed. I'd be first in line to get a new
Yeah.
license
Yeah.
because I think it's too easy. Plus, the responsibility that comes with driving a vehicle, and I've said this before, if you think
Yeah.
in terms of strapping a 6,000 pound missile to your back every time you get into a car and put a seatbelt on, you might drive a little
Yeah.
differently. But
Oh
also
yeah. Absolutely.
here in the States, and it's rampant in Florida, we have to get additional insurance because of the number of people who drive without a license.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, it's really bad. I know.
Very stupid.
That's it. Yeah. Well, you have the same thing here. Here, some people drive uninsured. Who that's if you have a collision with somebody like that, you're in trouble because
Yep.
where do you get your damage from or your money? You can't. And they have this kind of a trust fund. It's a national thing, but it's very hard to get money from that. Very
Right.
hard.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. You can apply, of course, every time. If something happens to you, anybody can apply, but it's not a given.
No,
It's not.
we don't
No.
have anything like that. If we
Mm,
get into an accident,
mm,
if we're lucky, the other person has insurance and then
right.
information is exchanged. If you're lucky or still a police officer shows up and then cites the offending party. That doesn't always happen. They don't want to be
Mm,
bothered because of the paperwork involved sometimes. And I get it. There are more serious things to address. But if they don't have insurance, now you've got to go back to your insurance company, even if you were not at fault, and say,
yeah.
listen,
Yeah.
this happened. I need my vehicle addressed. It's
Right.
every part of it is is over
Yeah. Well,
commercialized.
right. Well, over here you can also choose to have like a personal liability insurance
Yes.
policy.
Yes.
And then in addition to that, you can have like a legal assistance policy as well. So, and that doesn't only help you in a legal situation if there's somebody um, who hit you without insurance for
Right.
something, for instance. But also this legal insurance policy always also guarantees your money because they uh, pay you your damage, and then they go after this person. You can get an insurance for that here in the Netherlands. Yes, so
We have personal injury
it's
protection.
interesting. Mm.
Yeah, we have it's
Right,
very similar. We have personal injury protection, also known as PIP, uninsured motorist,
right.
which is a requirement. We have
Yeah,
liability with personal liability,
mm,
and then we have comprehensive collision, which is what
yeah.
happens to the vehicle or damage caused by the vehicle. And those amounts can go up. They'll start at $50,000 and go up to 1 million. But again,
Cool.
everything everything is money driven, and as a
Yeah,
result,
it
and
is.
it's also because it's so easy to get a license in this country and because it's so inexpensive to do so,
Mm,
I don't understand why the licensing divisions in
mm,
states and at a federal level don't look at this and go, you know what? Let's change this. Let's change a few requirements and let's charge a little more because we're constantly
mm,
talking about needing more money, constantly talking about raising taxes. That right there.
mm,
Driving is a privilege, not a right. And honestly, if I didn't have to drive, I wouldn't. If I had a kind of mass transit available that I could
mm,
use to travel, I mean, you
mm.
have to drive because of where you've got to go. You know, it's not terribly
Yeah,
convenient. But I
no, I
wonder
can do it,
if there was
but it's too
if there
late.
was a
I
train, if
work,
there was a train available that took you
mm,
from your doorstep to Central Park, you might do it.
of course, yeah. But
Here,
the problem is that the public transportation doesn't go uh, uh, the hours that I
right,
work. So
right.
that's the problem.
Yep.
Yeah, I work late at night, so there's no trains, no buses, nothing.
No,
So
no.
okay, nothing you can do. Hey, the
Yeah.
sun's back. Okay,
Yay.
didn't expect that. Uh, well, anyway.
Oh, I think here too, actually. How fun. That's perfect.
Oh, cool.
It's the same sun and it's blessing us both with daylight and sunlight. I love that.
That's amazing, isn't it? That's kind of, isn't it? Yeah.
It's a thing that always struck me. Boy, we're wandering everywhere and I love it, but it's a thing that always struck me. As a Boy Scout in Texas, looking up at the moon, the very first time I ever sketched the surface of the moon, it's the exact same face, pretty much, with the exception of maybe one or two asteroids that have hit it. It's the exact same face as we're going to go out and look at during the next full moon. It faces us
Yeah.
from the same angle. It sits the same
Right.
way.
It's not turning.
I think that's
It's
incredible.
not turning.
Yeah.
That is, yeah. It feels the moon is under the influence of our gravity.
Yeah.
Can you
That
imagine that?
that's a powerful force. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's really strange. Mhm. Yeah, great.
Well,
Uh,
there we are. Two old friends talking, and we've managed to occupy the world's time.
yeah, we're talking about all over the place.
We
That's our
did.
subject of today, all over the place.
That's right. Today's topic is all over the place. A little bit of health, a little bit of vehicles, a little bit of
Mm.
astronomy.
Public transportation.
Yes, public tra we could really dive into that. That would be a fun episode.
Well, maybe Elon Musk is going to give us public transportation to the moon one day.
I doubt it.
Well, we're not going to be part of that, that's for sure.
Yeah, don't hold your breath.
Not going to be around for that one.
Yeah. You don't you don't have a
Yeah,
bank account.
well,
We don't have bank accounts with enough zeros.
nah, well, that's fine. I don't care.
Nope.
There must be something left to dream about. Would
That's
it be,
right.
would you go into space if you had the chance?
I don't know. There's so much to explore here on the planet. Why would I bother?
Good point. Well, I don't
If
know. I think
if I want to know what it
it's
feels like to be
awesome.
in, if I want
Must
to
be
know what it
awesome.
feels like to be in tight spaces, um,
You already know.
yeah,
You'll find it out really easily.
I've done cave exploring. I think I would be.
Mm.
It's
Crawl
hard.
into it
Here's
too.
the thing. That's a hard question to answer because we don't know. We have
Yeah,
absolutely no frame of reference. All we've ever heard is from the astronauts who have done it and the pictures and
right.
the film footage we've seen, and it looks pretty amazing.
Yeah, oh my God,
When
beautiful.
you're out in
Yeah.
space and you look into the vast expanse of space and you see this little blue orb, this little blue marble, and you
Yeah.
imagine that this little blue marble is all of this. It's us and our ponds and our
Mm,
water features and our plants. and our
Right.
cameras and our cars and our public transportation. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's all and all the squabbles and all the wars and all the bullshit that's so important for some people. It's
Yep,
not important at all.
that's right.
Yeah, it's very amazing. Yeah, it's also like we have one a Dutch astronaut. He went up with the Russian
That's
crew,
right. Yeah,
right? And oh, there was another one as well. We have two actually. Yeah. Ah, we did. Okay. We had two astronauts. One with the one got up with the shuttle.
I thought there's been
His
more
name is
than two Dutch
Wubbo
astronauts.
Ockels. No, it's two. Yeah, one went up with the Americans a long time ago. Wubbo Ockels, his name was. And he was a really well-known person here in the Netherlands. And but the most striking thing that all the astronauts say is that it's a life-changing experience
Yep.
with regard to the way they look at the planet
Yeah.
and human relationships and everything that we are worried about. It's all bullshit. You know, if you look at what it's like Mothership Earth, you know, it's
Right.
the only place we got.
That's right.
Let's make it a happy place. But for some reason, a lot of people are busy with their own petty differences and making it a shithole. It's really mind-blowing, isn't it? Yeah.
Yep.
What are you laughing? Yeah,
No, you're right.
that's it's true, isn't it? Yeah.
You just introduced the topic for our next episode. Um, it is time, ladies and gentlemen, for us to bid you adieu with this episode. As Tone always says with a clenched fist, click like and subscribe.
Yeah, share it with your friends.
Yes, please share it with your
Share it
friends.
with your friends. Yeah, or
Thanks.
don't. That's fine.
Thanks for
We're just
watching and
doing this for
listening.
fun. Yeah. Yeah, we could talk about astrology the next time. Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah, astrology and
Oh my
astronomy.
God.
Let's do it
I
all.
love
Holy
that.
cow.
Yeah.
Ladies and
Astrology, no,
gentlemen,
astronomy. Astrology, I don't care for
astronomy.
astrology.
Yeah,
That's all.
we can talk about it all. Who
I
cares?
don't believe in that.
It
No.
can be like this episode. It can be all over the place.
All over the place. Thank you. Yes. Let's do
Ev-
it. Cool.
Everybody have a beautiful day.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
we'll talk to
Right?
you later. Later.
Later. Later.